Our next speaker will be Alex Hiyo.
There's a lousy phrase that old people probably always use in dinner tables. And that phrase takes a form of something like this. When I was young. When I was young, I was flying. I moved mountains. I walked 20 miles to school. When I was young, I was the sole proprietor of the right stuff. I gazed down upon the world like a lonely sentinel, surmounting all forces of nature. When I was young, all the guys and girls were falling in love with me. And so forth. And that phrase, believe me, can get even lousier. If there's a young man sitting around at the table, the phrase magically transforms itself to, when I was your age. In my language, Korean, there's actually a special pronoun which is dedicated to those old people who utilize this sort of language. And those old people are called 꼰대. As a teenager myself, I think old people are obsessed with youth. They always advise young people to cherish it, to treat it as if it's like a treasure, or to be indefinitely grateful about it. And while these messages seem to hold some very important truths, young people like me don't really know what to say or what to feel. While everyone is shouting at us to be grateful to be young, the young people don't really feel grateful about being young. We don't feel any bursts of adrenaline or exhilaration or bliss of health or youth or whatever. Life just seems tougher than ever. And this discrepancy between what we're told to feel and what we actually feel makes the young people feel as if they're missing out or being totally alienated on something that is huge. Well, maybe there comes a quote, "Youth is wasted on the young." While this might be sad, I think it raises a very decisive question. Why can't we appreciate things when we have them and start to do so when we don't have them anymore? Why can't I appreciate things right now when I know I will for a certain in the future? Well, on this question, I first tried to find the answer online. And apparently this was a very common symptom among many people, especially people who were going through breakups. And I found a very plausible answer on Quora by an online philosopher named Harvey Murray. And he says, the reason you start appreciating stuff when they're gone is because when you have it, you don't immediately need it. And thus, you don't really think about it. You can think about other important things because that need is already met. And air is a great example of this. We all take air for granted, and we never give it another thought. But if we lose access to it, if we lose air, we're going to notice very quickly. We're going to try everything to get it back as soon as possible. And this makes sense. If you have something, you don't really immediately need it. And so you don't think about it. You don't appreciate it. You can think about other stuff. The reason why old people want to go back to their youth is because they now don't have all the things that they once had in their lives. Whatever that is, whether it's like great health or great knees or great eyesight. And they don't have them anymore. So they're appreciating them. The reason why young people don't feel grateful about being young is because they already have all the stuff that the old people now truly desire. And they don't immediately feel that they need them, so they don't appreciate them. So therefore, absence leads to appreciation. What about the psychological reasoning behind this? Well, actually, there's a psychological phenomenon or mechanism called the hedonic adaptation. So hedonic adaptation refers to a tendency of humans to go back or return to a certain baseline level of happiness after some major life events. So let's say something good happens. Over time, we're going to adapt to the presence of those good things, and the initial joy and the appreciation that was felt in the first place is going to diminish. However, when the absence of that element disrupts our adaptation to it, it makes the loss feel more triggering and more desperate, and it makes us actually appreciate it more. And one of the examples to this is my dad. When people buy a new car, they're extremely happy. My dad was extremely happy when he bought his first car. However, over time, people get used to the new reality of having that new car, and they don't appreciate it anymore. And as they don't appreciate it anymore, and if by some coincidence that car breaks down, that absence of the new car disrupts their adaptation to the new reality, and which again leads to appreciation, and again, absence leads to appreciation. And I think knowing this mechanism of appreciation, I think I found the answer to my previous question quite straightforward. So in order to appreciate things before they're all gone, I personally believe that one should constantly, desperately remind oneself that everything will be soon gone, it will be truly desired. And acknowledging that things will be soon gone, it's a lot easier to appreciate it. And for example, the reason why students so appreciate 10-minute breaks between classes in school is because they know for a certain fact that the break is going to go away soon. And so, in my humblest opinion, this is the sort of mindset or view that we should have in our world. We should constantly, desperately remind ourselves that things will be gone in order to truly appreciate them. And maybe with this sort of mindset equipped, I believe that we can view the world from a little different or diverse perspective. Like the last sentence from Charles Darwin's On the Origin of Species, maybe there's a grandeur in this view of life. Thank you. This was Alex here.